Howdy, folks. Today we're looking at Optic Nerve number 1 from 1995 and drawn in quarterly. We'll begin with a confession today, as I just discovered this is indeed a second printing of the first issue of Adrian Tomine's comic book debut. I'll understand if you wash your hands of me. I was quite enamored with the early Tomine, and I still respect the charm of these early comics. His debut for Drawn and Quarterly was preceded by a run of mini-comics which presented a much less disciplined, almost rangy attitude. With this first issue, he's already set down the path of gradual tempering and winnowing that would define the trajectory of an astringent career. His thematic preoccupations are clear already from the very first pages. Sleepwalk is the longest story in the book, a rather brutal emotional workout on the subject of young men who can't move on from doomed attractions. If there's a cardinal virtue to the imperfect work here, it's an emotional honesty that feels raw even 3 decades on. It's a trifle perhaps, but a well-wrought trifle that betrays someone who is clearly spending a lot of time and effort in trying to draw better. Much hay was baled in his early career over a supposed debt to Dan Clowes. Certainly there's a resemblance, much as Guillaume March clearly learned how to put together his comics by taking apart Milo Manara. But what sticks out most at all these decades removed is how dissimilar Tomine is from Clowes. There's a little of the latter's surrealism, a constant preoccupation from Lloyd Llewellyn through to his most recent graphic novels. In truth, I see a lot of Jaime Hernandez in his early work now. For better or for worse, Tomine was a committed realist from the start. Of all the stories here, Echo Avenue feels the most contiguous to Clowes, a sketch about urban voyeurism that ends on a rather ominous, possibly even sinister note, not his normal emotional register, and effective for its brevity. I still like these early issues, even if I haven't always liked what came later. It's a well-crafted object, achingly sincere in its affection for comic books as a format.